Good morning, afternoon, evening, or whenever you're joining us today, and welcome to Percussionistics. This is a podcast focused on drums, drummers, drumming, anything related to drums. We just thank you for tuning in with us. Now, I'm your host, Glenn Jones, along with your other host, Colin Bossler. So, Colin, I've already improved a little bit since our first podcast.
You're doing a great
'Cause
job, Glenn. You're doing a great job.
Well, I remembered to mention my name. Actually,
Yes.
well, look, I wanted to remain anonymous, but
Oh,
since you put my government name out there last time, I figured I'd better roll with it. And look, and
now they can
speak
find you. Now they
now
can find you.
that's right, I'm on the grid. And speaking of names, there's another misstep that I want to clarify. When we were discussing Rush last week,
Yes.
well, whenever last episode, I mentioned Anika Neelis, and I thought right after I said her name, did I just say Anika Nielsen? I hope not. There's no way I did.
I don't think you did. No.
I went back and listened to it, and yep,
Oh,
I
did
said
you?
I said Nielsen.
Oh, well,
Yeah. So,
I give you credit for not doing that.
well, yeah. Thank you. So, my apologies to Anika and everyone, her fans. Her name is Anika Neelis, and she's way too good of a drummer to have her name misspoken in a podcast focused on only drummers. So, I apologize. So, all right, Colin, go ahead. What do you take? I'm going to give you the lead right now.
Oh, all right. Well, I appreciate that, Glenn. Thank you. So, when you and I were coming up with and I think we mentioned this in the first episode, when we were coming up with our topics to go forward, Ace Frehley had just died. And so we wanted to do something drum related when it comes to Ace Frehley. We've got a playlist to go through a little bit later, but you had said that you wanted to give Ace's flowers, but also look at the music influenced by the drummers that he worked with. And you were mentioning, for those that weren't with us today, Glenn and I we had lunch today with our lovely wives. And when you started to talk a little bit about the podcast, you mentioned that Ace is very loyal to the drummers that he uses. So is that something that spurred you on when you thought about Ace? You were thinking about the musicians he played with and how he had loyalty to that group?
No, it really wasn't so much that, even though that is true. I think in looking back at it retrospectively, because after I had the idea of the episode, I went back and dug a little bit deeper. I didn't realize how loyal he was to the drummers that he that played on, that he either played with or played on his productions. Altogether, I think he's played with 12 drummers, and really the one who he played with the most, including Peter Criss, was Anton Fig.
Sure.
Now, one of the things about Ace's album is that, well, it's regarded as not only the best of the Kiss solo albums, it's regarded in some circles as one of the best Kiss albums in general.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
I think all Kiss fans hold it in high regard.
I know people who don't like Kiss but love that album.
Well,
Now,
it approached music not just from a Kiss lens. It approached it from a musician's lens in my mind. Ace was writing songs to not, obviously he's a guitarist, he wants to focus on that, but I just think that the writing was creative. It wasn't kind of one note like Kiss was back in that, it's all innuendos and some goofy rhythms and lyrics and just kind of plotting their way through some yeah type tracks, very simple stuff. I think Ace wanted to really show his chops, and I thought he did on the solo, and I think that's why it did so well.
what's interesting is, according to Ace, when Neil Bogart, the owner of Casablanca Records, rolled out the idea that they do solo albums, Paul and Gene turned to Ace and said, "Hey, look, if you need some help, just let us know." and Ace said he was thinking, "I don't need help from you."
Yeah.
I would love to see Gene and Paul's face when they listened to the first few songs on his album. They probably were like, "Oh man."
Yeah, and then when he listened to the first few in theirs, he went, "I'm good. I'm okay. Thanks for the help, fellas. But do you need any from me?"
Right.
That Gene record's not good. But anyway, that's just terrible.
Listen. So while we're talking about this, you and I started talking. Well, we talked in our first episode about ranking drummers in general, just our feeling for any kind of list that ranks musician. Basically how much we disagree with them, but we understand that they're necessary evils. The Kiss solo albums ranked from perspective of critical review, and also sales went in this order. Aces was first, then Paul, then Gene, then Peter. And you know, you're going to hear it again. I talked about it at lunch. It gave you a sneak preview. I know that this episode is about Ace, and I'm going to keep it about Ace. But the fact that Peter again is on the bottom, number one, it's not surprising. Um, his album was the least Kiss album, but wasn't that the idea that they were going to demonstrate their personal flair?
It was. It
Yeah,
was. At least that's my understanding of it.
yeah. His was more R&B oriented, more um, easy like yacht rock. So yes, was it a Kiss album? Absolutely not. But was it a bad album? Absolutely not. I've said this to you. This is the third time that I've said this to you, Colin. If Peter Criss released that album and he wasn't associated with Kiss, it would have been a minor hit. And I'm not just saying that because I think that his drumming is underrated. I'm just saying the album's not a bad album. But what's interesting about all the albums, and this may be one of the main ingredients to the success of Ace's album, is the number of musicians that each of the Kiss members used in their album. The greater the number, the lower the ranking. Peter
Mm.
Criss, if you just look at the core musicians, I mean, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, bass, and drums.
Right.
Peter used the most, and then Gene, and then Paul, and Ace. Really, Ace used basically like four musicians. And when you think about it, one was Will Lee, bass player. He played bass on three songs. And then there was another guy. His name is Craig, I believe. His last name slips my mind, but he gets credit for playing the bell on Fractured Mirror.
The
Now,
bell.
I listen. He must have played the heck out of the bell. I've heard the song and I hear the bell, but he got a credit on it. But the only musician that, besides Ace, that played on every song of that album is Anton Fig.
Right.
So Ace played bass, he played rhythm guitar, he played lead, and he sang. When you have a small group, you got to assume that there's a lot more cohesion. One of the things that people give Ace credit for on his album is how consistent it is. Well, yes, it's going to be consistent when you only have a couple of musicians.
Yeah, he
But then when you,
basically built his own band, is what he
yeah,
did.
right, right. And he was most of the band
Right.
for most of those songs. So then you get into Peter with I think with the strings and everything was somewhere around 50 musicians. So the Ace just went in with a plan. He knew who he was. He knew what he wanted to do. He executed it, and bam, you've got the best album that he, in my opinion, the best album that he's ever made.
Right. Right. Well, listen, to keep the train on the right track, we're going to get to the music in a short time, but usually we do headlines when we start our episode. So if you don't mind me putting the train back in the right direction for just a minute,
Thank you.
why don't we do? Because listen, we're going to go down that other path. We're gonna take that fork later, but why don't we go back to our headlines, because that's usually where we start. So, Doctor, what is your first headline for episode number 2?
My first headline cannot be ignored, and it's so in line with what we're talking about today. Peter Criss, drummer for Kiss, original founding member, has a new album dropping, Colin. Actually, in about 20 days. It's December 19th. Now at least at the time of this podcast, there aren't any samples except for a few seconds of a song called "Creepy Crawlers" that plays during the trailer for that album. It sounds interesting. I'll check it out when it's available. Again, that's going to be on December 19th.
Can I tell you how little excitement I have for this release? I don't think it's going to be good. I really don't. I know. Listen, you and I'll review it. Might even listen to it. I'm willing and open to you and to Peter proving to me that he's a better drummer than I give him credit for, because I'm a little wishy-washy on him. So I'm my mind and heart will be open. I just don't have high hopes.
All right. And you would be right to not have high hopes. But Colin, look, when you look at Kiss, the members of Kiss, as dysfunctional as they were on a personal level, together they had amazing chemistry. You can argue that after Kiss, most of their albums range somewhere between pretty bad and mediocre. And it seems the longer that they were away from Kiss, the worse that those albums got. All of them. Even in my opinion, even Ace. I understand he had some success with Fraley's Comet and some of his other stuff. Now, I'm not even talking about in comparison to the other Kiss material. That would be unfair. Like them or not, Kiss was a very, very successful band. I'm just saying, just listen to the album and go, was that a good album? For the most part, I think you're going to find that they aren't. So, Peter Criss, what's this? How long since he left? The 90s? We're talking a long time.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
you're correct. It probably won't be great. But hey, we'll see.
Do you think he's going to use a lot of musicians again?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably, and I bet you he will use other drummers.
Other drummers?
Yeah.
That's your prediction. Interesting.
He
Why do you
didn't
feel
play.
why do you feel that way?
Well, he didn't play that much on his own album, but I don't know. I just, because of his other albums, he didn't play drums that often, and I'm prepared to be fact checked on that. I'm pretty sure he didn't play very often, not as much as you would think.
Right.
But I think with that, he focused on leading the bands, leading the songs versus being the drummer. I don't blame him for that at all.
Okay. That makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my first one, since if you don't mind, we'll go back and forth. So my
Sure.
first one for this episode is I saw Sting for the first time.
Okay.
About 2 weeks ago, and because of this podcast focus, watched the drummer a lot. Learned a couple things. First thing is basically Sting is a lounge act now, right? It was sort of like you would see in a casino, and I was in a casino, sort of like you'd see in a casino lounge. Very. Little slow and plodding along and kind of just the fun time sort of vibe. He was taking it seriously and he did a nice job. I was pleased. He played a lot of Police, which I wasn't sure how much he would, but he did. He played a lot of Police songs. The drummer, it reminded me of like a lounge drummer. Kind of smiled a lot, kind of did his thing. Just sort of looked around the room, didn't point, but he would have if he could, right? He would have did a little point thing. People like he didn't really have to challenge himself too much. There really isn't a lot of upbeat moments in Police. It's a couple where the rhythm moves a little bit, but it's not like it was crazy. It was a pretty simple kit. He just kind of followed along and smiled most of the time. So I learned that. And the second thing I learned was I didn't realize how many Police songs had a reggae rhythm, which surprised me. Because a lot of times it turned into basically a reggae song. And when I was watching, I'm like, I don't really hear reggae on the radio when I listen to it. But when you watch it live, it's clear that's the rhythm that they're using. And a lot of their earlier songs, a lot meaning 4 or 5 or whatever, that I watched that night had that rhythm. And that really surprised me. Did you know that the reggae rhythms were so ingrained in early Police songs?
Absolutely.
You're the second person to say that. How did I miss this bus? How did it go past me? And I was the only one to go, is that the reggae bus for this thing? I don't know about that one. Because another person said the exact same thing.
Reggae, a little punk, yeah.
Well, the punk and rock, that's easier for me to see. Mm-hmm. The reggae, I guess I just missed. But when I watched him play it, I was like, interesting.
Now, did you catch the name of the drummer? I'm sorry.
No, sorry. No, that's the, give me 1 second. I apologize. I've got something here from my computer. Hopefully Shane can edit that out. I apologize there, Shane. Okay. No, I didn't catch his name. I didn't have a chance to really research it or the motivation to research it, but the show was great. So that's my first update. So I got a chance to see Sting and again watch him. And like I said, it's kind of just a fun lounge act now. But he did a nice job. He's 74, and for a 74-year-old man, he did fine. People sung along and they clapped, and everybody had a nice time. It was good to see him. Check him off my bucket list.
I saw the Police when they reunited for a short tour. This was back, I guess, early 2000s. And I think you would have said the same thing about them even then, it seems I really like the Police. Stuart Copeland is one top 10,
Oh
one of my
yeah,
top 10 favorite drummers. But it seemed that they were just they were doing it under some kind of obligation. Now there was a lot of friction with the band. My understanding was that kicked up again. Sting said something along the lines of this reminded me of why we broke up in the first place.
right.
So I think you could see some of that. And Stuart Copeland is such a marvelous drummer, and I had never seen them live before, so all of my experience with them were the studio recordings. So I'm expecting everything the way that they played it normally on the record. And Stuart Copeland has this fill on "Wrapped Around Your Finger" that is amazing, and I'm waiting with bated breath for him to do that fill. It gets to that part, and he just kind of plays right through it. But
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Now that you mentioned that, when they played that song, they really slowed down the tempo of that song. And now that I think about it, there was no fill, there was no excitement during that. It was very just kind of even keel, one tone kind of thing.
Mhm.
I'll have to listen to the studio recording because I don't remember that fill there, but now I want to listen to it.
Yeah, yeah. You
But
can't
yeah,
miss it.
I've always thought Stuart Copeland was quite good.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I can't, I guess I can't judge him by this guy, but that's my first update. So I got to see the Police again. Check them off my list.
Oh, great. Great.
What's your
So,
second one, sir?
all right. My second one was Colin. I mentioned this before. I used to play. Actually, I played electronic drums. There was a period I played electronic drums more than I played acoustic drums, and then things started changing, and I played acoustic more than electronic. And then I noticed that when I had to go back to electronic, how worn down I felt. And I thought maybe it was just me. Turns out that it's a real thing. And some researchers in France conducted a study of the physical effects of playing electronic drums. And they found for the most part that since electronic drums don't always react the way acoustic kits do, like hitting harder doesn't necessarily make the sound louder. Or sometimes they get like some ghost notes, just little tap notes on the snare drum doesn't really trigger. So you have to hit it a little bit harder. Anyway, because of those things, the drummer's physical movements and the feedback that they get don't always match up. Therefore, the drummer tends to hit harder, work harder to bring about the same sound. So I know physically that makes sense, but also there's kind of a mental kind of fatigue that goes into that too. Always remembering that you're playing electronic drums, you've got to do a little bit more here, a little bit less there, and keeping all that information in your mind while you're playing is kind of draining.
So, so as a non-drummer, right? I've not performed. Why were electronic drums created?
For something different. Actually, the first electronic something the prototype of the first electronic drum set was made back in somewhere in 1967, 1968, and used of all bands by the Moody Blues.
Okay.
And I think they were just trying to get different sounds of the drums. It wasn't that they were trying to replicate acoustic drums. They were just trying to get a different percussive sound, something more futuristic. It wasn't until the 80s with a company called Simmons, they made what's called an SDS-V or SDS-5. And that was what gave rise to the electronic drums of today. Now, the reason for electronic drums is it gives you more versatility. First of all, you buy an electronic drum set and you've got at your disposal hundreds of different sounds. You can make your bass drum sound this way and your snare drum sound that way and change your cymbals. So that was one of the advantages of that. There was some time that, especially in the early 80s, where the concern was that electronic drums would replace acoustic drums. Of
Right.
course, that never happened. But drummers and engineers found that there's no replacing the feel and the response of acoustic drums. So both types are doing very well in today's musical landscape. Electronic drums are simply a tool. You see a lot of drummers incorporate aspects of electronic drums in their kits. So yeah, it was just something
But
different.
you're saying physically it's easier to play the acoustics.
It is.
Interesting. Because the reason being that I'm cut from the rock and metal cloth, Rick Allen from Def Leppard played acoustic drums until he lost his arm, right, in the
Hmm.
accident, and then he switched to basically all electronic. There might have been a little bit of acoustics mixed in there, but it's clear that the rhythms that he was producing were from electronic drum kits, and
Hmm.
he only had one arm. So you're saying that physically, it's possible he was working harder with the newer kit that was electronically based, versus the older kit he was using when it was all straight acoustic.
Yeah, so I would say that was probably the case, especially at the very beginning. But after a while, if that's all you're playing, that's all you know. So you know exactly
Okay.
kind of what to
Interesting.
do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
All right. My second topic is, and I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Avatar, but the band Avatar is a metal band. It's like a very extreme version of Alice Cooper. They're from Sweden. The gentleman has uh, the same eye makeup, the black eyes that
Okay.
Alice Cooper kind of wears, and he's got the shock black hair and pale skin, and kind of has that vampire sort of look to him. And all the guys look like Vikings and things with long hair. And it's just it's sort of like an over the top Alice Cooper kind of view, and they sing about all sorts of wonderful wonderful topics. I got to see them and a few other bands just the other night at one of the local clubs. And so again, I've been watching the drummers more so than ever. And what's interesting is in that band Avatar, I won't talk too much about the openers, but they were very good. One of the openers, Alien Weaponry, if people have a desire to check them out, they're from New Zealand. And yeah, the names are great, Colin. They're from New Zealand, and they do a lot of, I think it's pronounced Midori, if I'm not mistaken, rhythms from New Zealand in their songs. Has a lot of rhythmic chants and a lot of that kind of stuff, which is very cool. The drummer leads a lot of the rhythmic chants in the background, so he's kind of fun to watch. But um, the guy in Avatar, it's interesting. They put the drummer in Avatar center stage, not in the back. He's actually center. And the other guys are kind of on the sides, and then the lead singer is in front. So when you're looking at it visually, it's basically the lead singer and the drummer is right behind him. And of course, he's on the riser, so he's up a little bit. And he's a character. He tries to, um, I guess, insert himself a little bit more than I would expect him to. But he kind of considers himself. You use the word band leader. I'm going to kind of say that. He kind of does the hype, and he kind of does a lot of motions for the crowd and things like that. So if you ever get a chance and you're interested in seeing some pretty aggressive screaming melodies from Sweden, I would check out Avatar to look at the drummer's presence. It made me think about, because again, the second drummer for Alien Weaponry kind of had that same thing. I like when the drummers come out and they may go to the background, but I kind of like when they come out and they start the show. When they kind of set the beat, they set the tone, they kind of get you hyped up. As I age, I don't find drum solos necessarily something that excites me anymore. Back in the day, they kind of did, because back in the day, when I was a big Motley Crue fan, Tommy Lee would do the upside down, and he'd do the spinning, and he did all sorts of wacky stuff that kind of brought back the love for the drum solo. I'm a little I'm a little over the drum solo love, but I do like it when they are doing more with the crowd and kind of being a major cheerleader for the band.
Mm. So you're telling me that your Optimum Kiss experience would have been if they started off with Beth. Would be-
No, no, sir.
I was just
Yes. Yeah. I like when they, like I said, for Alien Weaponry, they're from New Zealand, so like I said, they have a lot of the primal chanting and sounds and things. And when he came out, he did a lot of that real low guttural. Um, you can match it to the island songs that you kind of hear, the hooping and hollering back and forth, and he kind of did that. And I've seen a lot of drummers do that. I've seen a lot of drummers that come out and they're the first ones to sit, right? They get behind their kit and they count it off and they do the drum beats, and the other members come out on the stage. It's kind of nice when they hype up the crowd. And I like the drummers that insert themselves. I think it depends on how much they want to push the drummer up front. I guess I just don't look at all drummers being ones that want to be right behind the singer. Be somebody that is center stage and really considers themselves a
Mhm,
major influence every moment. Most of
mhm.
them, it seems to me, you would know better than I, kind of take what they're given and the rest of the time provide the foundational stuff and kind of stay where they're put and don't really reach for more. Am I wrong?
No, I agree. I believe that you're right. And I'm thinking even with drummers who are as charismatic as Tommy Lee, the reason why, I mean, his drumming is excellent, but he does all the extra stuff, the draw, the twirling of the sticks, everything. He has to kind of pull people towards him versus, I don't know. um, I mean, like, he doesn't, even though he's doing a great job as a drummer. I don't think that if he just sat there and just played what he was playing, he just kept the beat, did what he was doing, you wouldn't be drawn into him as you are with him doing things that's drawing attention to himself.
Right. Okay. I can see
Yeah.
that. Right. I think right now my greatest drumming solos that I've watched in the last few years are with Godsmack. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Godsmack or perhaps you've heard of them, but
Heard of him.
they have a part in their show where the lead singer, his name is Sully. Sully gets behind a kit, so they have two kits. One that they're using all the time, and one comes out. They usually split the stage, and another one comes out, and then he and their regular drummer will have kind of a drum off, and behind them they'll show pictures of, like, they'll say, let's say they're playing Led Zeppelin, so one of them will start, rock and roll or Black Dog or something, and they'll start it up, and then they'll show Led Zeppelin play a little bit, and this person will kind of kick into his own rhythm on this song and his own kind of thing, and then he'll throw it to the other guy, and the other guy will start an AC/DC track or whatever, and again spice it up a little bit with his own stuff, and they do all sorts of, and that's kind of fun to go back and forth because you're hearing it, but visually there's some neat stuff. You can see they're smiling, they're laughing, they're having a good. Sometimes they throw sticks at each other across the way, like they really kind of have a good time, just riffing off of each other and kind of having a blast, sort of just enjoying the rhythm, and that part's kind of fun. I look forward to that when I see them live.
So I had a little debate with our one of the singers in my band, and she said that Genesis had two drummers, and I'm going, Andrea, Genesis never had two drummers. They've had other drummers, but not two drummers. Are you talking two drummers like Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers? And she
Right.
said, well, no, I went to a show and they had two drummers. So I'm trying to figure out the time frame of this event. Like, did this happen one time? Was this? But anyway, what she got to was that it was um, Phil Collins and Chester Thompson for a little while. Every once in a while, he backed Phil Collins, but Phil Collins would play with him sometimes, and they had this kind of dueling drum solo thing that was kind of which was good. And I told her, but that's not like they have two drummers. They happen to have two drummers that played at the same time for a part of the show. But I said, kind of gimmicky, but
Right.
no, it's
Oh,
not like they are not in the same category of two drummers like Grateful Dead.
right.
You know,
Right.
uh, so Colin, how do you find these bands that's are you on a mailing list and hey, new obscure band out?
Well, listen, I'm gonna tell you. Okay, the listeners will find out soon enough. There's a lot of information that comes out when you ask me a question. Some of it you want to hear, some of it you don't. But
Okay.
but listen, it's all gonna come out. So, um, as you and I were talking earlier today about shopping, I will not go down that tangent. But your wife and I were talking about shopping. Everything you do in shopping is all about the information you have, right? Bringing in information to go find the things you want to buy. It's the same with music, right? If you go and search and hook yourself up with email blasts and text blasts and band emails and flyers and all this stuff. So I'm inundated daily with concert updates and concert things coming to me, and each year it's 25, 30, 40 shows, whatever it is that I can fit in that my wife will tolerate. So yes, I'm hooked into everything and anything that has to do with music. So at the drop of a hat, I'm at a show when I can put it on my schedule. I'm booking up next year already to go to these shows. So and I discover music on Bandcamp, and I'm a big fan of that. I get all the releases from the record companies will send me emails. Pirate Records dropped this, and Napalm Records dropped this, and I go on there and I just start to listen to them and just try to bring stuff to me, Glenn. So over the time we're together, which I hope is a long time, I'll be dropping names left and right of bands you've never heard of, and maybe people that listen to the podcast have never heard of. But it's just because that, to me, is the more you know, the more you can do.
Mhm. I'm sure you will, and I expect that. That does bring something special to the table. Now, what do you ever look at a band or hear of a band that you're not familiar with their material, and you go, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to go see them," or are you just open to anything? You're just
Great question. Great question. I would say it would depend on the timing and it would depend on the location. I'm pretty lucky that where I live outside of Allentown, there's a lot of venues. So if it's a band I've never heard of, but it's inexpensive and not too far away, I might go. Depends upon the night, depends upon what I've got going on. A lot of the newer bands I find on things like the cruise that I did or festivals. Like we're going to go to Sonic Temple, my son and I, in May. There's 140 bands playing at Sonic Temple. Now, I'm telling you right now, Glenn, out of 140, I'm going to try to see 100 of them. Like I'm going to be there full force all day, dusk to dawn, stage to stage, because that's my chance to soak it up. That's my chance to grab 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever. So a lot of it is really just opportunity, a cost, and availability.
so. When I listen to other drummers, um, recorded material
Mhm.
usually, I make it a point to listen to the entire song, or I'm going to listen to the entire album. I'm not going to tap out, even if it loses me very quickly. I'm going to listen to the whole thing. Do you do that when you go to shows? Like, it may be bad. Maybe it's a band that's not resonating with you. Do you leave or do you suck it up and finish the whole?
I usually suck. That's a great question. I usually suck it up and just watch because they're probably an opener. They're probably somebody early in my, again, festivals or things. I know more is coming, so I'm probably just going to sit through it. I typically find the energy produced by musicians fascinating. No matter really honestly what they're producing, the sound, I really find the human spirit and musicianship just to be an enthralling experiment to watch somebody, especially as I age, because a lot of these guys are kids.
Mhm.
They're early 20s. They're practicing, they're playing, they're rehearsing, they're trying to they're hone their craft. They're trying to earn a dollar. I've gone to some shows where the opening band, you can tell, they're selling their own merch, right? They don't have they made their own t-shirts, or like, they're they made stickers. And so I always buy stuff from those kind of bands. I've got shirts of bands you'll never hear from again because God love them, they tried, and it wasn't something that took. But you go to the merch tables and you meet these kids and you shake their hands, and to me, that's what I really look at more so than what's being produced is them producing it. Now, if they ask me, I'm going to be honest. I might say, look, I'm not really a big fan of this sound. I appreciate what you're doing. I don't know if this is something that's going to hook a lot of people going forward, but you know what? It is you, so you do your thing, and I hope the best for you. So you're right. Sometimes I kind of do this while I'm watching them and kind of just sort of wait. But I don't typically walk out. It's rare for me to actually bail on something and go, "There's no way I can do this." It's got to be pretty overtly bothersome for me to not want to hang out.
Hmm.
There's been a few. There's been a few. It does happen, but most of the time I will sit back and then offer an honest critique of. There was a really cool thing, and I know I've got a little sidetrack here. Sorry, I'll get
No,
back on in a
that's
second.
fine. That's
There
fine.
used to be something years ago, and I can't not remember it, but it was sort of like YouTube. This is going back, God, probably 20 years now. There used to be something sort of like YouTube where you could join. I joined a group, and the bands would upload videos, and you would go in as part of this selected group that you were invited to, and then you could watch their videos, and then you could give them feedback. Like you could
Hmm.
tell them, I think in order to get a contract, because they were all unsigned bands, I think
Okay.
in order to get a contract, I would, keep this aspect of your stuff. The lead singer may not be it, raise this, lower this. And it was a very, very cool thing because I liked being able to really, truly give them some feedback to help them. I
Hmm.
found that fascinating because some really hit it. And my feedback was like, man, I don't know, why you haven't been signed, but you'll find somebody soon. But I've had other ones that I'm like, listen, I'm sorry to tell you this, guys, but the chemistry is not what you might have fun, and they might be good buddies to hang out with, but this isn't going anywhere if it's going to sound like this. But it was really interesting to be able to do that. I don't know whatever happened to it, but that was kind of a fun experiment.
So none of those bands went on to become like Guns N' Roses or anything.
I know it wasn't quite
Remember
that.
that
No,
guy told us we had no chemistry?
that's right.
Welcome to the jungle, baby.
Heck with that guy in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Right. So
Go ahead.
for my last contribution to our news this week, I've got a little bit of sad news, especially if you're an old drummer or a fan of good old fashioned drumming, where someone has to literally sit behind the kit with nothing but his two hands, his 2 feet, and drumsticks to make some music. An AI system called Tria has been developed. Now, what Tria does is it takes simple human rhythm ideas like beatboxing or clapping or tapping, and it automatically turns into a full drum performance. It takes what they call, I was trying to remember the name of it when we were at lunch this afternoon, but it's something like rough rhythm gestures or something like that. And it figures out what it would sound like on a real drum kit. And it adds the correct drums and dynamics and timing to create a complete polished groove. So look, there are some good drum programs out there, but none of them sound as good as human drumming. And but so I'm going to say that because I'm a drummer.
Sure, of
I'm going to be
course.
kind of biased, but I'm just saying that the tree is out there. I'm not happy about it. Now, if this tech excites you, good for you. If it doesn't, and you want to commiserate and complain that there already isn't very much these days out there that would inspire someone to play drums, here I am. My arms are open wide to you. Email me, text me, get in contact, and we can cry on each other's shoulder. I hope I don't wish any ill will against anybody. I kind of hope this doesn't take off, though. I mean, it's just like really. What
Well,
about learn?
here's the thing though. If it makes music easier, just like autotune, it's probably going to be accepted. I had a buddy the other day create an entire song through AI. He put some ideas in there and a theme, and what he sent around to us was incredible. An entire band, guitars, bass, drums, singing, great voice. The AI created the lyrics, they created the music. Glenn, it's the future. I hate to say it, but it's the future. If you can tap, and it's funny. On my way home, because you told us at lunch, on my way home, I was tapping on my steering wheel, and I looked at Cheryl and I went, "According to Glenn, that's a song." I
That's
guess I
right.
just I just have to I just have to tell them to do that. But it's unfortunate. But if here. My true take on people in this area is that unfortunately, if it's easy for somebody to do it, they're going to do it because
Mhm.
they don't look long. They look short term, they don't look long term. They don't look that it's not a skill that they have. They look at it their success that they can make with this tool. And I hate to say it, but it's probably going to continue to be more prevalent.
I get it, and you're right. You're right.
Again, autotune's a perfect example because when you listen to it, it's god awful. It's if you've listened to any song where you can actually hear at least the early ones. I don't know if you how much you've listened to it over the years, but I used to be a DJ for a long time, and when I would get a newer song when I started, it's been done now for several years. But when I was buying music before I stopped, you can hear the computers back then adjusting people's voices. You can hear it actually happening on the record that it leveled it out and changed the pitch and things. If somebody's doing that and saying, well, you don't really have to sound good. I got this to fix that. I just want you to look good, dressed in whatever way I want to dress you. If I can say to somebody, you don't really have to be able to drum. Just give me a rhythm and we'll fix it right here and we'll create the music. It's going to be too easy for people not to use.
Hmm. Hmm. It's gonna look. That's how we are, right? Most of our society, how we've developed, is how do we make things easier? That's we're not hunting our own meat anymore. We're buying it from a supermarket. You know, when's the
Right.
last time anybody made a cake from scratch? It comes in a box, except an old school baker is going to say, no, I'm not buying Betty Crocker. This is coming from, I'm
Right.
going to get my own flour and put everything together. But just like electronic drums didn't take over everything, I'm sure AI won't infiltrate all aspects of drumming. I did find out something that was pretty interesting. It made my heart smile because for a long time, and I don't even know where I got this notion from, I believe it was from MTV. The Chicago song Stay the Night
Okay.
mentioned that it was done with electronic drums, like drum programming. So for all these years, I thought that it was that, and that's some amazing drumming. And so just recently, I was looking through some stuff. You know who actually played drums on that? Not only was it not drum programming, it was the one and only Jeff Porcaro that played. Oh man! So one of my top three drummers. So not only was the song not electronically produced, Jeff Porcaro laid
Yeah,
it
that's
down.
your
Oh,
guy. That's your guy
that's my
right there.
guy. That's my guy. Yeah, yeah. So, and Colin, he's another one of my guys who's passed. You know,
Right.
three of my favorite drummers, John Bonham, Tony Thompson, Jeff Porcaro, have passed. You mentioned in the last episode that of our music heroes from the 60s and 70s are I mean, it's just the natural rhythm of life. They're dying,
It
you
is
know.
absolutely. Yep.
So it was rough waking up on October 17th. And I turned my computer on, and your computer's always tracing you. It knows what's going to get your attention. First thing, Ace Frehley, founding member of Kiss, dead. You're the
Yep.
first person I texted, and you said you knew already. That
Yeah.
was
Oh, that made its way around. Again, the music scene, right? The more you're interacting with the music scene, it happens fast. It shows up on your phone. It shows up. People text you. Yeah. When an icon dies, and I think we can call Ace an icon,
Mhm,
it makes its way around quick. So,
mhm.
you had asked us to pick songs to celebrate Ace, but from a drum perspective, right?
Yes.
Now, you have and I have each selected four, and we're going to listen to those. Is that the plan here?
Yes, we are. And we're going to explain ourselves. Why this song?
Explain yourself, mister.
Explain it. There's definitely one I need you to make clear to me.
I
So,
will. All right. Well, because I think we discussed the beauty of Ace before, but this is from a drumming perspective, right? This
mhm.
is we were supposed to select songs, so you and I both have our playlist. I
Yes, we
have
do.
I have mine up, so whenever you're ready, sir, I'll have you do the countdown or the ready start, whatever you want to say, and let me know when we're going to press play.
Well, I thought I would do the Paul Stanley counting off Black Diamond. One,
Okay.
two, three, hit it. So, so now the first one, it's yours. It's wiped out. Are we going with?
I thought we were doing yours first. I have Into the
Oh,
Night first. Are we starting with you or me?
got it. We can
All
go
right.
with me.
All right.
So we are going to go with Into the Night. One, two, three, hit it.
Nice. Now, why did you choose this song?
What most resonates with me when it comes to drumming is groove, like just
Okay.
that driving thing. Now, all my drummers just let you know, let the cat out of the bag right now. The drummer on all of my Ace songs is Anton Fig, which is not hard to do considering, like I mentioned earlier, Ace, yeah, Anton Fig played with Ace more than any of the other 12 drummers that are mentioned. So, one of the things about Anton Fig is he brings so much. He brings power, he brings finesse, and he grooves. No matter what the song is, he grooves. So, together, he plays like he's so familiar with the song, and so he doesn't sound like a studio musician. He sounds like a member of the band.
Well, he practically was for Ace
He
anyway.
he really was. All right, so that's Into the Night.
I love that you picked Breakout.
So first of all, any song that starts off with a little bit of like the Flintstones
Yes,
sound.
that's all. And when we all heard it, we went Flintstones. Okay, all right. So why this one, Doctor?
For the you're going to hear me say the same thing over and over. It's so redundant. But Breakout, first of all, the drums are excellent. It propels the song as it should. His fills are spot on without taking anything from the song. It adds to the song, keeps it moving with nothing self-serving, nothing Keith Moonish. It
Nice dig.
but
Welcome back,
just,
Keith. You thought we
and,
were going to miss you this episode, Keith. We didn't. Glenn took his shot.
This song reminds me of a little bit of like Kiss from the Animalized era. That's that driving guitar and the way that Anton is just pushing that forward with it. I love the beat, the dun 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 bum bum. I mean, his bass drum is so active in this song. He's just nailing it.
For as a non-drummer who, and I listened again intently, how does the bass drum, how do you decide the bass drum presence? See, I listen to a lot of music that has the double kickers and a lot of blast beats, and you know, you don't miss the bass because it's in your face punching you around. But in a song like this, how do you decide when the bass is going to be used?
So you've got to recognize what the rhythm is, and the bass drum undergirds that rhythm. So you listen to this song, the melody dun 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 dun. The bass drum is kind of following along with that, and the snare drum locks down the tempo. That keeps the dum um listen. Breakout. First of all, I love how they take breakout, a 2-syllable word, and make it
Yes.
3-syllable.
Yes, I love the pause. Yes, when
Yeah.
they start to sing it, but they don't quite sing it. They sing
Right.
it later, yeah, like it's a hesitation. I love that.
Yeah. So the snare on the 2 and the 4 on this, on a song like this, it's in 4/4 time. Kind of, that's the part that you kind of dance to. The bass drum again undergirds, kind of works along with the bass player to give it that give the song that texture, that context,
Right.
and everything else builds on top of that. So it just, so what? How do you know where the bass drum goes? Is just really based on the rhythm. But now you can have just a simple beat, just where the bass drum just hits on the 1 and the 3, boom boom bop, boom bop, boom bop, and everybody's doing something more extravagant on top, and that bass drum still push it forward.
Right.
It's really the difference between, like, you can, of course, the solo in Breakout.
Yes.
I love how he stops into that.
Yeah.
The snare just stops, and then
And that's another
goes
one of
back
those
into it.
pauses. Like he gets there and goes,
Yes, that's right.
it makes you
That's
wait
right.
for it. I imagine him like leaning forward and then he hits.
Yeah. Or I think he does that, and then a little smile, and then I'm not
Yeah.
done yet.
That's right.
And
Yes.
comes back.
Yep. Little smirk.
Yeah. And then
It's such-
Ace's
yeah.
solo with him. This
Oh.
is such a really good song. But yeah, so you know, you can take a song and you write out the drum notes and give it to different drummers, and they play all those notes, and some are going to have a different feel than others. Just how the accents they put on, the timing of the beat. Um,
Now
yeah,
you
it's just
picked
the
you
little
picked the
nuances.
next. I appreciate the answer, sir. You
Okay.
picked Ozone, which is playing now. This is not a song I would associate with drumming. Why did Ozone get on your list?
But so I'm a little bit behind.
I mean, the drums are certainly pronounced. There's a heaviness, a thud, kind of like horses kind of galloping, through
Yeah.
the field. But why did Ozone make and just to help you out here, as far as, I'm not saying I'm the guy running everything, but I'm at a minute on Ozone. I just
Okay.
landed on a minute. Why did this song make its way onto your list?
Just that kind of just real simple dragging kind of pushing groove. By the way, this song is the anti-Rock Soldiers song.
Okay.
You know
Okay.
what I mean, for lyrically, I mean, listen, if you don't want to, if you
Yeah.
don't like getting high, you'll have to say goodbye.
Speaking of sophomoric, right?
Yeah, right.
This is, by the way, this is Kiss lyrics. This is the Kiss coming out of him.
Yeah, it just how all the other, this part right here, the
Oh yeah,
dun, 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 dun,
yeah.
dun.
I like the little rattle thing, whatever they call that in the back
Yeah.
back there.
Just the way he kind of, the word that comes to mind is how he's playing this drone kind of beat with this song that goes with this kind of dragging song, and he's just pushing the hi-hat, and then the ba-da ba ba ba.
It's definitely very sludgy. It's very
Yeah.
muddy and just, like I said, trotting its way through.
And the solo gets lively.
It does.
It does.
The solo really doesn't fit the rhythm of the song.
Well, I think that that's what's so unique about it. Like all of a sudden, there's this part where it kind of steps up and has a lot more energy,
Right?
and then it goes back into the da 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 da. Um, it's just how Anton is able to throw in fills that don't disrupt the everything else that's going on. It reminds me a lot of Danny Carey with Tool. I just whips a fill out at a place that doesn't seem like it should go. It works, and then he comes back in. There's some drummers who put in these self-serving fills, and
Right,
it's
right.
and then it kind of doesn't make sense. They do it, but it continues to work with the rest of the song. It then goes back into the da dun dun da dun. It's just that droning, how it goes with the ozone.
This
So
to me, this to me is like end credit music from a movie. Like you'd be walking out while this is going on and they're rolling credits.
well, one Ace. I'm not a aficionado on all Ace Frehley songs, but he hasn't written a song that sounds like this.
Not really, no. No.
You kind of sound like you're happy that he didn't.
I
But
am happy. No, it's fine. Well, I get it because it's pretty lyrically simple. So I don't really. This is more like creating a rhythm than it really is a song.
well, with it being drums, a rhythmic instrument, it would make sense.
Yes.
But I name a song where you go that Ace wrote, where you say, "Wow, those lyrics are fantastic."
Well, I think Rock Soldiers is better. I think the ones we've already listened to, I think, are good. I'm not looking for it to be highbrow. I just think there's better efforts in some of his tracks, and there's some that are just, you know, it's Rocket Ride is one of my favorite famous examples. Like I don't need Rocket Ride. It's a fun track, but it's a very very silly song.
It is, and I think Rock Soldiers. We'll get to that when
Right.
because it's on your list. So Snowblind is my favorite song, Ace song with my favorite drumming on Ace's songs. Yeah,
Gotcha. There you go. There we are.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. It was going to come out eventually.
This song is very interesting to me because the rhythm is not predictable. It's got a strange way of putting itself out there.
Yeah. So there's an overdub of drums on this. You'll hear it later on, where there's these fills just on the toms, but you still hear the regular beat playing under that.
Mm-hmm.
That's Anton as well. That's not the reason. I just like the way that this song, the drums, the way that Anton crafted the songs around the rhythm and the melody of this song, and he's just bringing it hard. You never get the impression that Anton Fig is mailing it in. He's always playing. There's like this raw energy, but yet a kind of reserved nuance to it. Like he's not ballistic, but he's just bringing it really hard.
I've noticed when you emulate Anton Fig, you have like an Anton Fig face. You have
You know
this
what?
thing.
I talked to one of my other drumming friends, and that's a song that when you're playing, you got to tear your face up on. You got to have the drum face. That
You have an
stink
Anton
face.
Fig face. Yes.
Yeah, like
He would just be like
deep.
this.
Yeah, right. So if you're just listening to this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, you're missing something.
Right. Because Glenn just made a cool face many times. Say Anton Fig, he'll make a face.
And that's funny is that Anton didn't play this way when he was on, part of the David Letterman band, because it wasn't this kind of music.
Well, right. Yeah, there's no need for it. There's no room for it.
Oh, it was fantastic drumming, but just that shows how much of a professional he was. He is. Whatever he's playing, he's going to bring it. So to be able to play stuff like that, but then also dig in and play things that are like heavy and dark like this, and push it the way that he does, he's a great drummer.
Right.
Now, There are some songs though that just I think deserve an honorable mention. They weren't on my set list, but one some really good drumming is "Parasite,"
Oh,
Peter
sure.
Criss.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
so uh, it, again, he gets dogged, but listen to that song. The other song too that I mentioned was that I considered adding to my list, but I didn't because I just didn't feel that it was better than these, at least to myself. Was Dark Light. Now,
Everybody loves Elder. Elder's a great record.
oh, it really is. And really, when you think about it, that's the first song. Dark Light is the first song that we get a solid introduction to Eric Carr. Because the other songs, which aren't bad songs, fanfare, there weren't any drums. But, you know, I think what were some of the songs we have? Just a Boy. He's doing
Yeah.
some really good things on those, but Dark Light is the first time where he's really ripping. So
Right.
that's yeah. And then
Now, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
Now, when I was asked to choose my songs, I took Wiped Out before you could even claim it
Yeah,
because
I
I'm
was
like, what else? First of all, I'm like, okay, I wrote it down too. I'm like, Wiped Out. Now what? How can you not say that the drumming doesn't make this song?
right.
I mean, it's right in your face. There's a lot of rhythm, a lot of percussion in this song that's right in your face, and I love the disco guitar. I don't know why, but as I age, that little waka, 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 waka. I love that disco guitar in this song, and it's just a fun song. Yes, it's about him being drunk and about him being a mess and doing all sorts of stupid stuff, but I just think it's great. And then the rhythm changes right at the chorus. And this is a pretty heavy groove when it hits the chorus.
Again, Anton Fig.
Yeah. So I appreciate you giving me this. Well, again, I took it. I shouldn't
Well,
say
yeah,
gave it to me.
you got it. Yeah, you got it to it before I did because that was going to be probably my second one. So, but then that made me dig deep and at least gave me the opportunity to put on something that wasn't from his Kiss solo album. Because for me, like you mentioned earlier, with something where you said just pick one. To me, you can pick any song on Ace's solo album, and
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you know.
Well, none of us took Acorn Spinning, but I think, or Fractured Mirror. Sorry, Fractured Mirror is on a solo. I think Fractured Mirror is an amazing track.
Wait, I'm sorry. Let's go back to that Acorn Spinning.
Yeah.
What is that?
Acorn Spinning is his instrumental on the Ace Frehley on the Frehley's Comet record.
See,
did you listen to Frehley's Comet Second Sighting?
not Second Sighting, no.
Okay.
I mean, I went through it, but I don't remember.
Acorn Spinning is the second version of his instrumentals that is at the end of his songs when it's not Fractured Mirror.
I thought so. It wasn't Fractured 2.
There's he has a string of Fractured and he has Acorn Spinning on one of the records. While we listen to this track, we're gonna look it up here. So we've got. But this is the guitar work on this song, and again, the drum makes this song it's such fun, and it's such high energy.
Yeah. I love the changes on this song. How it goes from the verse and then the chorus is dun, 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 dun. It just dawned
Fractured
on
2.
me
I'm sorry. Fractured 2 is on the first Frehley's Comet, and then there's a second Frehley's Comet. Let's go to that one here. Yeah, see that the drumming there really follows the guitar with that hoppy part of it. That it makes it bounce.
Are we talking about Wiped Out or?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not on Acorn Spinning. I'm looking it up, but I'm trying to stay with our conversation.
Okay.
I'm trying to do both.
Doing a better job than I would do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, when I look at the lyrics, the Acorn is Spinning is on the second Frehley's Comet. It's track number 10. It's a 5-minute instrumental that takes the place of a Fractured.
Okay.
So that was the gimme. So my next song is obviously his biggest hit in Rock Soldiers. That's something again not too hard for people to reference. But what I liked about with the drumming here is this is an anthem, right? This is not meant to be a uh, what's the word? Like he's telling you a story because when this came out, remember this is after Kiss, right?
Right.
This is his return. And to me, when you listen to the drumming, it's drumming an anthem. It has the rat tat tat in the beginning, right? Like soldiers, it builds that, and then all throughout the song, I just imagine the drummer just big flourishes, just really having this marching concept come through that you're soldiers and you're being given a beat to march to. Do you get the same thing?
Well, so I start with the drums and work out.
Mm-hmm.
If when I get to the outside, the rest of the song doesn't really land on me, then it's kind of hard. And I get it. He's telling a story. And first of all, unlike you, Colin, I'm not a big story in a
Oh,
song.
I gotta have it. No, I gotta
Yeah,
have it.
yeah. So I'm not gonna be listening to like Edmund Fitzgerald or
Oh, it's a great song.
Billy. Don't be
Oh
a hero.
man. Oh.
I don't want to.
Sorry, Gordon Lightfoot, but we still
Yeah,
love you.
yeah. I don't want an ode. Listen, just just and so one, it is that, and I get it, and I bet you this song was therapeutic to Ace to write as he talks
Sure,
about the
of course.
DeLorean and the
Right.
devil and the whole Ace in a deck and all that.
You
I
don't
don't
like
know.
my cheesy selection, sir.
No, I just no, I do.
That's
I really
okay.
like the
That's
no,
okay.
no. I considered putting this one here for the drums, but I wasn't being true to myself if I put it on there because I don't like the rest so much of the rest of the stuff. The lyrics, I don't know if you could say any Kiss song is exactly literature, but I don't
No,
know.
no, definitely
Just,
not.
just
Definitely not.
but the I get he tells the story, he gets the point across, but the lyrics are just so yeah,
He's making
yeah,
another face, folks, in case you can't see
yeah,
it.
yeah. I
Glenn's
just
making a
don't.
sour face.
It's kind of like I feel that he's writing this going, I need a word that rhymes with this word. Oh,
Right.
okay, this. Oh, I need a word that rhymes with that. Okay, I'll just
Yeah. He just
and
yells it out in the room. Hey, who can give me a word that rhymes with that? Great, thanks, brother. And
yeah,
he writes it down.
right. So, um, so look, any drumming with Anton Fig, I think I've made that pretty clear. I'm going to be a fan of. So, just
But here, see right there, this is like I look at the drums like right. He's doing a little bit of that soldier drumming in the background. Like he's got the march, and I think that's very cool. That the march never really leaves the concept of this song. I mean, listen to that. And I understand they're doing the rock 2, 3, 4, but I think the drumming is very it pushes it into the march and stays there.
mhm. So so to you, it's not so much the complexity of the nuance of well, it is the nuance of the drumming.
It's
Um,
it's
it,
it's
it's
it's the consistency because I think certain artists when they write a song, like you said yourself, this is cathartic, right? This is a long track too. It's like 6 minutes or something like that, or
mhm,
whatever,
mhm,
five something, whatever it is.
mhm.
He wrote the 506. He wrote this to be cathartic. Now, I think to your point, I think he's going to play without an ace in his deck first and wrote backwards, right, to get the punchline, right? And here's that iconic line.
There it is. Right.
I think he wrote that down and chuckled and went, "Ha, that's witty." And then he went backwards. But when you think about again what he wanted when he called it Rock Soldiers, I think he and Anton sat down and I think he said it's a marching song. It's a call to arms song. Anton, I need you to rally the troops, and I think Anton answers in his approach to the drumming to rally the troops to
Mhm.
keep the rhythm that they're marching to this concept of being a soldier of rock with Ace.
So you're saying Ace said to Anton, "Here's the role of the drums," and Anton plays that role well. in
I'm
this
going to
song.
say Ace didn't know what he wanted, but Anton figured it out
Okay.
because he said to the song it's going to be Rock Soldiers. He went, "Oh, so you want to march?" And he went, "Yeah, that'd be cool." And then Anton took it from there.
And understanding the way that Ace worked in the studio, there's a good chance that that happened. He was certainly the anti Gene and Paul,
Right,
so it was like,
right,
look, you
right,
here's the song,
right.
give me something.
All right. So now the track that you were asking me about. So when Second Sighting came out, there was a release of Juvenile Delinquent as one of the singles. It does not start with drums. It starts with a little guitar play and Ace plugs himself in. But again, this is supposed to be anthemic. And I think, like I said, when you look at what a drummer can do, listen to them when they come in. That echo, that's an echo in an arena. That's like a stadium echo. It's a nice run, and now he again keeps that anthemic, that child rebellion. It's very sophomoric. This is an older guy talking about being a juvenile delinquent, which he is far from.
Hmm.
But I think the drums keep that fight vibe up. And you're not used to this song. You have not heard this song too
No,
often. Okay,
I didn't. I didn't. And then when I listened to it,
you were
it
not impressed.
I so wasn't. Colin, like everything else, I get it. Um, but this one was the one where there was just a big question mark. What is he seeing in about the drumming in this song in general?
See, because again, when you listen to it's simplistic, but I think that it's something that just I don't know. It's a raise your fist and yell kind of song. He wants to get the kids to fight against their parents, and I thought that the drum was consistent enough and what's the word? It had enough presence to have that fist pumping the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It might be because I saw Ace Frehley's Comet they live in concert one year. I think they opened for Judas Priest. No, I lied. They opened for Iron Maiden. And we're going back to the '80s, but I think it's just that fist pumping thing and that head banging thing. The drums help you head bang. I know you're not a tried and true head banger, but when you are, the guitars, but the drums also provide that head banging vibe.
Yeah, we used to have there used to be a club in Atlantic City called Six Shooters. It was a rock club, probably held about 200 people, and I saw Ace there,
Okay.
and it was interesting. I was wondering how he was dealing with this because I saw them, I saw Kiss, I saw the Dynasty tour, which was fantastic, and I was thinking of all the manpower necessary just to get the sound right, in a show like that. And then at Six Shooters, it was just one roadie, just one guy. He's setting up the drums and he's setting up the guitars, and um, but it was excellent. I was about maybe 16 feet from him, and I don't know who the drummer was, but the guy was bringing it. They played a lot of Kiss, they played a lot of Ace's solo stuff,
Hmm.
but yeah, it was. And I wanted to try to find out. At the time, I wasn't so interested in exactly who the drummer was, and back then didn't have like the internet like we do now. But
Sure.
I did go back to try to find out something about Six Shooters and anything on Ace, and there was nothing there. But I would have loved to know who that drummer was, because he was really really good.
Another great solo. I know we're more drums than guitars, but a little love for Ace's solo here. I think it's quite nice.
No, I was going to say, and I doubt if they played this song at Six Shooters.
Uh, I don't think they did. But I'm telling you, it had a little radio love, or at least a little video love or something. I remember it had some release.
Ace's solos are just magnificent. Ace is by far my favorite lead guitarist.
Well, I don't know if I could say that, but he's very good.
His work is purposeful. It fits the songs. And he's not like some guy, not the fastest, but just because you're fast doesn't mean that just because you can doesn't mean that you should.
Right, right. I don't know. To me, it's got a nice beat. It's got a nice steady rhythm. It's serviceable, right? It has its purpose. I want you to be banging your head. I want you to be excited. And this music, this drumming will get you there.
Now, I'm assuming this is Anton Fig as well.
I'm going to say I don't know who played on Second Sighting, but I would say more than likely.
If it was
Freely's comment for this one, Jamie Oldacre.
Jamie Oldacre, yeah. Okay.
And then finally, I went back to Kiss. I'm the only one on my list. Do you even have a Kiss track?
Yeah, you are.
But I thought 2000 Man was a good rendition, and I think that it's got that driving beat.
Guess who the drummer is on this?
I believe Peter Criss.
No, it's not.
No, wait. Oh no, wait. Is this Anton Fig?
Anton Fig.
Nice. Oh, that's your Peter Criss only did like one track or something on this record, right?
Yeah.
He was on his way out.
So basically, we could say, except for Jamie Oldacre, this is a whole. It was an expose of Anton Fig.
So from a drumming perspective, we love Anton Fig.
Right. We got to try to get him this episode and get him on the show.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, yep. Kiss hired Anton Fig to play on Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Because Peter was pretty much out of commission through drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. I think he had what? He sang on Dirty Livin'. I don't even know if he played drums on that. So, was this an homage to Kiss, or what is it about the drumming on this song?
I just, again, when you listen to Ace, you had asked me to find songs that the drum supported him well, and I thought this did. I thought I liked the simplicity of the beginning part, and I kind of just find it just a good. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that his relationship with Anton Fig is here too. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Maybe I didn't know it, but you were asking me to look at tracks, and I thought about some songs, and I was like, okay. And you had taken some really good ones off of Freely's comment. And I thought, there's got to be something through Kiss that we don't talk about enough. We don't really talk about 2000 Man too much. And I don't know. I kind of just, it's, again, the drive of the song and kind of the, I don't want to call it happy, but sort of the uplifting beat is a good one.
I love the way Anton Fig plays for what the song needs. You know it's him. He does have a signature feel, signature style. But it just it just sounds like he's so familiar with the song, like he's played the songs hundreds of times. And you know that wasn't the case. That's why he was a studio ace. You got to be able to get songs down pretty quickly and then move on. But his just understanding of music.
So we need Anton on this podcast.
We got to get Anton on this, yes.
Okay. So folks, in the future, we're going to have the Anton Fig interview. Won't that be good? I can't wait to see who you get in the future, sir, to talk drums with us.
I'm not going to reveal this yet. I'm going to wait for it to happen, because if I can, I would be a hero in your eyes if I can make this happen. I'm working on it, though.
Oh.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I am so intrigued. I am so intrigued.
I probably shouldn't have said that on something that's recorded, because you could say, hey, Glenn, remember back like 50 episodes ago?
Oh, yeah. You mentioned I'm still waiting for it. Yes. Each episode will now be called episode whatever, still waiting for it. Episode 6, still waiting for it.
Well, even I'm sure I'll be able to have some feedback, because either the answer is going to be yes, no, or I never got a response. So you'll hear something and you'll find out who that is.
But anyway, I chose this song because I just think that little part there, just kind of just fun sort of, tapping in the background. It just makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. So Ace played with 12 drummers, recorded drummers. Anton Fig was the most popular, but of all the drummers, and most common, of all the drummers, all of them were more than solid. You had to be able to play, for him to use that often, and for it to.
Yeah, I would concur. I would concur.
But you would say that they're solid.
I would. except Anton. He's
I can't wait
excellent.
to get Anton on and say, Anton, Colin said you were just solid. What's your response to that?
He'll give us something like, "Well, everybody has their own opinion. I get." But
Or unless he thinks solid is a compliment.
right, right. Well, thank you, Colin. I was shooting for solid. You're
Yes,
welcome.
that's
You're
right.
welcome,
Right,
Anton.
right.
You
And that
nailed it,
will
brother.
and that would end my argument because again, this was basically an Anton Fig hour. And,
Right.
and if he's good with solid, then I guess hey, solid is solid's a good
So
thing.
when we when we release this, it will be episode 2, Ace Frehley and Anton Fig.
Right.
Well, that was a fun little playlist we put
Uh,
together there, sir. That was fun. I know the listeners will have those dropped in the background, so hopefully they find those interesting as well.
Now, Colin, real quickly, I had a couple of honorable mentions. Did you have any honorable mentions, or
Well, like I said, I think Acorn Spinning and Fractured Mirror. I think those are um, because they're so guitar forward. I think the drumming had to be less. So when you listen to those, I think they keep the beat, but I think they are very, very background, very, very shadowed because of how much the acoustic guitar and the him pushing his melodies forward in those tracks. So I thought it always kind of impressed me that they sort of wrote along, but definitely didn't do anything to overshadow because of the instrumental nature of those songs. So I would
Mhm.
say those two um, were probably in Fractured too, all that kind of stuff. I think the drummers just knew, Anton knew that this is not the time for me to do more than just provide the background rhythm that he needs to do all his tinkering that he's going to do on his guitar.
Mhm. Mhm.
So those are the only ones I thought about putting on, but I didn't.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah. So, well, that was great, and Ace was definitely as all musicians are unique. Ace was unique in a unique way, you know,
Yeah. Oh, he was something else. He
and
you know he was something else.
and
But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, and a great musician. I think that he was certainly. You can understand why he would probably have some issues being in a band as controlling as Kiss with what he obviously showed that he's capable of doing. You
Right.
know.
And that's what I was going to say. I think all the losses that we have when you're looking at the rock world, well, just music world in general, right? There's always some quirkiness and some tribulations that come along with artists. I think there's just now you're an artist, so I don't mean to sound disparaging in any way, but I just think that artists are peculiar and in a nice way.
Yeah,
But
I'll
I think
raise my hand to
there's
that.
okay. I think there's just something about an artist's soul that has a way, and whatever that way is the way that they follow, and others that don't support that way or inhibit that way or whatever relationship that they're trying to navigate through. If it doesn't jive, artists are very passionate, and I
Mhm.
think that no matter who we lose, and as we lose these ladies and gentlemen now and moving forward, there's going to be a lot of quirkiness that we have to talk about. Look at all the classics that are still around, but when Dylan and Jagger and Richards and Neil Young, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are no longer with us. I mean, talk about some unique, wacky individuals that are going to have lots of things to be celebrated and lots of things that you're going to sit back and go, well, that's who they were. And I don't
Mhm.
really understand it, but I'm not meant to.
Yeah, yeah, and
Even
it does.
Tom Petty, one of the most what's the word? I don't want to say vanilla, but Tom Petty really wasn't a polarizing figure. He wasn't somebody that really you don't meet a person who hates Tom Petty.
Right.
You don't find anybody that goes, "Oh God, that Tom Petty, this guy." Everybody just says, "Yeah, Tom Petty was good. Was good. He was solid." Just kidding, you know. But there's people, but even Tom Petty, when you look at some of the history and you look at there's still some quirkiness. There's still some avant-garde type stuff that just kind of again makes you go, well, that's a musician. That's what an artist is.
Yeah. And speaking of Tom Petty, another sorely underrated drummer is Stan Lynch.
Okay.
Man, what
I'm
a
assuming
good
he's part of the
drummer.
Heartbreakers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, just
Okay.
another guy. Hard to get along with. I think he even admitted that when he was younger, but just his style, very unique style. laid back, subtle approach, but some things that he was doing was just really, really listen to the shuffle, that broken shuffle that he does on Breakdown. Is that lets you know right there? This is a drummer to listen to. Um, Mary Jane Last Dance. But
I love
there's
that
a
song.
can't wait till
Love
we
that
get into
song.
those things. Man, there's so much good drumming out there, Colin, to talk about. So, and we've only just begun.
Only
Um,
episode 2, my friend.
and speaking of that song, I believe that's the Carpenters, and I think Hal Blaine played on that. It wasn't Karen Carpenter, but was,
Maybe there'll be a Karen Carpenter episode in our future. Who knows? Because she's been a topic of discussion lately too.
yeah, you know,
All right, sir. Shall we land the plane,
yeah, we shall land the
as we say?
plane. You've got
All
the
right.
controls.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening to Glenn and I continue to debate, slightly argue at times, and mostly agree on how wonderful Anton Fig is and how fantastic Ace Frehley was. We really appreciate you listening to us. Have we, sir, developed our socials yet? Do we have any tags and things to put out yet, or are they still in development?
They're still in development.
Okay, well, soon you're going to be able to find us all on the tags under Percussionistics on all the major platforms and things. We're starting to spread our wings and kind of spider web out there and begin to put to grounds our roots and things. So, on behalf of Glenn Jones, my name is Colin Bostler. Thank you very much for listening to us, and we'll talk to you again real soon.